Lilamrita, volume number 1, chapter title A Residence of Vrindavan. I will read a couple of lines. He assigned quotas. America would receive 10,000 copies, Argentina 500, Belgium 500, Brazil 500, Burma 1,000, Canada 500, Chile 500, China 10,000, and so on, including 10,000 for Russia and 10,000 for England. But the donors and donations never appeared, and the plans for Back to Godhead were never realized. So we will continue now. We found that while the people of India's educated culture class were rejecting their own spiritual culture, the religiously inclined masses were being baffled by an array of conflicting, unauthorized doctrines presented in the name of Hinduism. An alarming example of this came to his attention as he was preaching in Bombay during the summer of 1958. Bhagavad Week was being publicized by a group whose teaching conflicted with the pure parampara presentations of the Bhagavad. The Bhagavad, Srimad Bhagavatam, was the devotional scripture par excellence, the literary incarnation of Krishna. Yet the organizers of the Bhagavad Week were using Srimad Bhagavatam to teach impersonalism and minimize Lord Sri Krishna. Through friends, we learned of the outrageous meetings, and finally, on July 20, 1958, he wrote to the Bhagavad Week leader, Sri Ratan Singh, imploring him to stay away from Srimad Bhagavatam. All of our Acharya were so strict. We can see they were like a lion. I beg to inform you that I am in receipt of your invitation letter in the matter of observing Bhagavad Week through the Secretary of Bombay Spiritual Center. As I know what sort of Bhagavad Week can be observed by the Mayavadis for misleading the innocent public, and therefore I not only restrain myself from attending the function, but also I advise many others not to attend. For the very reason that the recitation of the Holy Bhagavad is being performed by men who have no access in this great scripture, in which only the liberated person who are free from all pretentious religiosities can take part. Some friends who attended your Bhagavad Week have told me how the pastime of Lord Krishna were being wrongly interpreted in your organization on the pretext of saving Krishna for being an immoral personality. To save this foolish audience in future, Maharaj Pariksit had already asked Sripad Sukadev Goswami to clear the Rasalila activities of Lord Sri Krishna. The transcendental nature of Rasalila does not require to be apologized by any Mayavadi or mundane moralist. The Lila is what it is. In the sloka number 30, it is forbidden that a mundane person should indulge in hearing Rasalila or should hear Rasalila from a mundane person. In your organization, both the audience and the lecturer are mundane persons, and their indulgence in the matter of Rasalila out of sheer foolishness will result in imitating Rudra, who swallowed up the ocean of poison. Abhay warned that legal action could be taken against such a religious fraud. But Bhagavad Week continued and hundreds were cheated. So please keep the phone muted. While the professed followers of Vedic culture were being baffled in their elegance, modern westernized Indians were rejecting Vedic culture as backwards and irrelevant. How can they say that? You know, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, all the time it's so relevant. There was Prime Minister Nehru, who wasn't at all spiritually inclined. He was for modernization and for what Abhay called made in London ideas. At least Mahatma Gandhi, although he had never responded to Abhay's letters, had been spiritually inclined, but not so his follower, Pandit Nehru. Still, out of concern for the way India's leaders were rejecting their country's spiritual heritage, Abhay decided to write Pandit Nehru. Although in Bombay, Abhay was practically homeless. In August of 1958, he boldly wrote the Prime Minister expressing his conviction that India's spiritual culture must not only be revived at home, but also be distributed to the West. He reminded Pandit Nehru that from ancient Greece down to the atomic age, the Western world has seen only materialism and had therefore never known peace. If Nehru were to continue following the path of materialism, the only result would be strife and war. Therefore, India may not waste her time in imitating the Western way of life. You have admitted it that the position of Indian culture is of high order. But at the same time, you want to bring an material prosperity by scientific advancement of knowledge. But what is that scientific knowledge? Spiritualism is also advanced scientific knowledge. Material advancement of scientific knowledge cannot give even material prosperity to the people in general. Do you think that the horseless carriage or telephonic or radio communication or any other such ephemeral facilities of life can bring in material prosperity? No, it cannot. Material prosperity means the people must have sufficient to eat or to maintain the body very soundly. Do you think that your different plans have brought in that material prosperity or that modern Western civilization can bring in that prosperity? Even they are given that facility, the unrest will continue to go on till there is a spiritual satisfaction of life. That is the secret of peace. Even without having been to the West, Abhay expressed his conviction that the American and even the Russians were hankering for spiritual realization. They could not have become satisfied merely with material advancement. Pandit Nehru, therefore, should help his friend in the West by offering them spiritual knowledge from India. Poverty means poverty of knowledge. Prime Minister Chanakya used to live in a thatched cottage, but he was the dictator of India during the time of Chandragupta. Mahatma Gandhi voluntarily accepted the way of living of the so-called poor man and was the dictator of Indian destiny. But was he poverty-stricken? He was proud of his spiritual knowledge. Therefore, spiritual knowledge makes a man really rich man and not the radio set or the motor car, etc. Back in 1930s, the Nehru family had brought their medicines from Abhai's Praya pharmacy. And Abhay now appealed to Pandit Nehru as an old friend from Allahabad, just as Abhay has requested Mahatma Gandhi. He requested Nehru to leave his political responsibilities and as a popular gentleman of the world, engage the rest of your life in this organized spiritual movement to make a real adjustment of Western material science combined with Indian way of spiritual realization. As with his letter to Gandhi, his letter to Nehru went unanswered. Among Abhai's former Bombay contacts was Mr. Harbansalal, a landlord who had once assured Abhay that he would provide him lodging whenever he needed. In the summer of 1958, Abhay went to call on Mr. Harbansalal only to find that he had gone to the west. When Abhay learned that Mr. Harbansalal was traveling not only on business but on a cultural mission, his imagination seized on the idea of an Indian on a cultural mission in the West. He wrote to Mr. Harbansalal asking for a place to stay, but also presenting his own cultural mission. Abhay knew that many Westerners respected Indian culture. He had heard from his German godbrother that although Indians who went to the West, especially to Germany, were well received, they were sometimes tested on their knowledge of Indian culture. So Abhay advised Mr. Harbansalal to teach the real conclusion of Indian culture as he traveled. I think that people need this Indian message in this hour of necessity when the atomic bomb is hovering over the head of the human society. Please, therefore, begin the activities for the benefit of all people in the foreign countries since you have gone there. Clearly, Abhay would have liked to have gone himself. Abhay also reminded Mr. Harbansalal of his promise to provide him with an apartment. I'm passing my days in Bombay in great inconvenience for want of a suitable residential place. But the latter never caught up with the touring Mr. Harbansalal. Wanting to go to the West as soon as possible, Abhay visited one of his godbrothers in Bombay, Kripa Sindhu, and asked him to help. Kripa Sindhu. He came to my house and asked me to help him in going to America. He gave me some back to Godhead, which he said I could show to people to ask for help on his behalf. I tried to do something in this regard. I introduced Abhay Babu to one man, a big industrialist, Hemraj Khandelwala. I went also. The three of us sat down, and I told the man how Abhay wanted to go to the West and how he was a good devotee and was writing and doing so many things. But somehow or other, the man did not help. Kipa Sandhu told Abhay of how the Gaudiya Math in Bombay had sometimes been assisted by a pious business magnate Mrs. Sumati Mukherjee, head of Scindia steamship lines. Abhay tried to see her but was unable. He did, however, see one of Mrs. Mukherjee's employees, a deputy manager for the Scindia company, who heard him out and, to Abhay's surprise, responded generously. Considering Abhay a genuine sadhu, the Scindia agent offered him a 50% concession on a voyage from India to the United States. He even put it in writing. Abhay immediately began arranging for his passport and visa, but he could not raise even the half fare. Back in 1956 in Delhi, he had been struggling and homeless. And now, as he considered his last 2 years of traveling out of Vrindavan, he felt that his position hadn't really improved. Perhaps Krishna didn't want him to succeed in this way. But one positive thing he had gained, determination to go to the West and preach. There he would surely meet with success. Alone and poor, Abhay returned to Vrindavan. He was 62, but he wasn't thinking of retiring. More than ever, his mood was reflective and renounced. Because few people knew him and because he wanted to write, he kept to himself. He enjoyed deep peace as a resident of Vrindavan. Outside his windows, the sacred Yamuna flowed by in a peaceful panorama for his private audience. The Kesighat neighborhood was quiet, though in the pre-dawn he could hear a few devotees bathing and chanting. When the moon was full, the river seems like a coolly resplendent jewel, and in the morning the sun would appear like a red smudge, a fire burning through an opaque wall, at least bursting forth and clearing the entire sky, until in the hot blaze of noon, while the room would be in shadows, Abhay could see from his window a shimmering sun high in the sky and glittering across the silver shade of the gentle river. Without so much as leaving his room, from his doorway he could see hundreds of temples clustered together for miles in the friendly town of Vrindavan. The various punctual kirtan and bell ringing in the temple, the spontaneous song to Lord Krishna in numerous homes and in the street rose and filled the air with devotion. On the veranda, Abhay could chant japa, and there would no interruption. He enjoyed a simple, almost carefree life of minimized physical wants. A few hours of rest at night, a little prasadam at noon, the simplest clothing, And he did not have to flatter anyone, support anyone, or manage anyone's life. His mind and intelligence were free and dwelt constantly on his service to his spiritual master. He saw his present circumstance as a preparation for a greater task before him. Despite his advanced age, he felt that he had barely begun his work. Yet he felt confident. He had his vision of a world association of devotees. It was not an ideal dream, although he was not certain how it would be all come about. But he knew that his duty. For the present, he would go on describing his vision, the vision of his predecessors, spiritual masters, in articles and books. But as soon as possible, he should go to the West. Westerners, he had concluded, were not satisfied with a materially comfortable life devoid of spiritual understanding. More than his fellow Indians, they would be open to the message of the absolute truth. He knew he should go, and he would go if Krishna so desired. Abhay lived frugally in Vrindavan, keeping exact account of every expenditure and every receipt. He carefully kept a ledger, just as if he were running a substantial business. Even though his purchases were only a little milk, a few vegetables, charcoal for cooking, bus ride, and his major expenditure postage. Haribol. Abhay composed a Bengali poem, Vrindavan Bhajan. Its opening stanzas were especially self-reflective and personal. I'm sitting alone in Vrindavan Dham. In this mood, I'm getting many realizations. I have my wife, son, daughters, grandsons, everything, but I have no money. So they are a fruitless glory. Krishna has sown. Ram Prabhu, can you mute your phone, please? Thank you. Krishna has shown me the naked form of material nature. By his strength, it has all become tasteless to me today. Yasya ham anugrahanami harisyata dhanam sanai. I gradually take away all the wealth of those upon whom I'm merciful. How was I able to understand this mercy of the all merciful? Everyone has abandoned me, seeing me penniless. Wife, relatives, friends, brothers, everyone. This is misery, but it gives me a laugh. I sit alone and laugh. In this Maya sansar, whom do I really love? Where have my loving father and mother gone now? And where are all my elders, who are my own folk? Who will give me news of them? Tell me who. All that is left of this family life is a list of names. Haribol. As the froth on the seawater mixes again in the sea, Maya Sansar's play is just like that. No one is mother or father or personal relative. Just like the sea foam, they remain but a short time. Just as the froth on seawater mixes again in the sea, the body made of 5 elements meet with destructive. How many bodies does the embodied soul take in this way? His relatives are all related merely to the temporal body. But everyone is your relative, brother on the spiritual platform. This relationship is not tinged with the smell of Maya. The Supreme Lord is the soul of everyone. In relations to Him, everyone in the universe is the same. All your relatives, brothers, all the billions of jivas, when seen in relations to Krishna, they are all in harmony. Forgetting Krishna, the jiva desires sense gratification, and as a result, he is firmly grasped by Maya. On an October visit to Delhi, Abhay received a donation from Kaviraj Vaidya Nath Sirchar to be used for printing 1,000 copies of Back to Godhead. Abhay promptly produced an October 20 issue of Back to Godhead with the doctor's name on the front page. It was the first issue in 2 years. Another donor, Mr. Subodh Kumar Kapoor of Ramanlal Kapoor and Sons, followed Mr. Sirchar's example and donated 1,000 copies for November 20 issue. The front page article in the November issue was Truth and Beauty, an editorial in the Times of India speculating on whether truth and beauty were compatible, had opined that truth was not always beautiful, but often ugly and unpleasant. Abhay disagreed. Quote, truth is so beautiful that many sages, saints, and devotees have left everything for the sake of truth. But we are habituated to love untruth from time immemorial in the name of truth. Unquote. Abhay agreed, however, that mundane truth and beauty were incompatible. Not only was mundane truth not beautiful, it was not truth. And mundane beauty was not real beauty. To explain, Abhay told a story. This is a wonderful place to stop. Looking forward for a wonderful story. So everybody will be happy to join and hear this wonderful story from Srila Prabhupada. Hearing the words from Srila Prabhupada is so pleasing to our mind and heart. How much sacrifice Prabhupada has done for all of us. Amazing. And if we little value his dedication, we should also do little thing in our life for Srila Prabhupada, who has saved us from the nuisance of this material entanglement. Still I think that if I have not not come in contact with ISKCON, what kind of horrible life I may have been living. Very difficult to even comprehend or think about it. Miseries and competition, enviousness, jealousy, and that's what the whole material existence is about. We always compare with other people. Oh, if he has it, why don't I have it? And they have no clue what they are facing at the end of their life. Horrible time will come. And that's the reason I think that it's always nice to visit the hospital and see those persons who are ready to leave this world, how humble they become. There is no argument about which faith you believe in. everything comes down to the reality. And you see that even though the some person may be very harsh, they become so mellow because they knows what is coming in their life. Nothing they can do. Nothing, absolutely nothing. No matter how much wealth you have, how much education you have, how much beauty you have, how many strong family ties you have, nothing will come and help you. That is your own journey. You have to face it. And for that reason, our Acharya has given us the way that we should live our life. Dedicating from the early age, like Prahlad Maharaj has set the example. We should not wait. And still, it's amazing that people are in 40s and 50s. They are not taking it seriously. They think that this life is eternal. You know, when I was even in the college, we never thought. We were so illusion and so ignorant that even though we were saying the people, old people were dying, I don't think that we have any single thought that I will have to leave this world. And that shows by our actions. We want to collect so many things that we cannot even use it. But still we don't satisfy because we are not utilizing for the pleasure of the God. Everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing belongs to us. And if we just divert that energy toward the Supreme Lord, how beautiful that world can become. It's unfortunate that people has no interest. They have interest to suffer in this material world. This is really an illusionary world. We have to be extremely careful. We have to slowly and slowly cut down those toys with this world because it doesn't give you any happiness. It's just the miseries and suffering, nothing else. But when we chant the holy name early in the morning, how nice it is, cool down with the mind. So serene atmosphere, you feel so blissful, and that will carry over throughout the day. So this is like a charging time. We should charge our battery every morning so we can remain peaceful throughout the day. Without the charging, we will get spoiled. And Maya Devi is always there to grab us. It's just little weakness in our sadhana. That's all it's required. Little swayed from the path of devotion. Maya Devi will say, how? This is another one has come to me. So thank you very much for joining. The devotees has to go to the work, so let's offer our humble obeisances at the desk of the devotees' lotus feet. Panchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu bhayavacha patita nam pavane